Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CC Podcast. My name is Miles Beckler.
And this is the part where I say my name.
And what is your name?
Trevor. That's it. Got it. Trevor Shanahan.
Good!
It's Bohemian, like the Rhapsody.
Okay, so welcome to the CC Podcast, or Crazy Creatives Podcast.
It's not as bad as the name that I think there was a carnival that went on. You know, like those ones where you throw things and win prizes, at an elementary school. And it was called Crazy Kids Carnival with all K's.
Oh, no!
It was here in Aberdeen, South Dakota. Let it go on the record that we literally had an event in town named after the KKK.
Oh, man. Ugh.
It's like, you think, wouldn't someone figure that out at some point? Wouldn't someone look at that and be like, hey, raise their hands, but it's the only woman in the room, so they're like, yes, you may go to the bathroom. Yes, it's called Crazy Kids Carnival. We've chosen this on purpose.
They could have just gone with 3 C's, and that would have been grammatically correct.
Literally, they could have
more correct.
Even if it was called CIDS, it would be better than Crazy Kids Carnival. Let it be known that someone is probably fired. So I brought a little thing for you to try out.
Okay.
It's it's spoiled for you. You know what it is.
Yeah.
It's a Nintendo Labo VR. And what this is, it's freaking insane. So Nintendo out of nowhere, although I guess not out of nowhere. They've been talking about these leaks for a while about the Switch is going to be a VR headset. And everyone's like, that's kind of dumb, but like for a Switch, it's a 720p screen divided across 2 eyes, which means the screen door effect, the funny little jiggly pixels you see in a regular Oculus are going to be way more pronounced. So everyone's like, that'll never work. It's a handheld console, and Nintendo was like, it probably doesn't work right now. We're not going to do VR. And until it's fun, is what they said. So what they set out to do was make VR fun. Instead of this big old set that you have to set up for your friends and be like, hang on, I'll show you VR. It'll just be 20 minutes while I set up my computer and put a giant fucking headset on you.
And have a bunch of wires attached to it.
Yeah.
And weighing you down.
VR is awesome. Let me just get that out of the way. VR, traditional VR on the Oculus, on the PlayStation, and on the other one, Vive, is gonna be, it's rad as fuck. It's just not in the normal family's budget. I mean, at least not yet. So Nintendo was like, we're going to make it in the normal family's budget. If they have a Switch plus $40, they can get a little bite-sized VR thing. And that's what they made. They made a toy.
Yeah, they turned VR into a toy.
And since this is relevant, the way this is relevant to art is that it's made out of cardboard. It's a Labo VR. Right. It's not quite in VR mode yet. It's going to be a little disorienting.
Yeah.
Real quick, before you hurt your eyes,
I just tried looking into it right out the gate.
Yeah. It's in single screen mode right now, and then when
that explains
you pop it into 2 eyes, and it both raises the brightness of the headset, and it can detect when it's slid into this. And the cool thing is, because it's made out of cardboard, it comes in these little sheets that it's definitely a thing made for mostly children and children on the inside.
Reminds me of a Happy Meal or something.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like a Happy Meal box.
What it's doing is it's teaching kids through doing the fundamentals of VR games and how they work. Because they put it together.
Right.
They put it together, and in the menus, it teaches them how it works and how VR works. And there's even a little game creation mode where you get to show people
Whoa. Nice.
what VR is like. Go ahead and tap on the headset so it makes an audible noise on the cardboard part.
Oh.
Or like up here.
Oh.
There you
Okay.
Since it has a gyro sensor, it can tell everything you're doing. So you can also use the regular controllers to move through the menus,
Okay.
just like a normal regular controller.
Yeah. Okay.
So what you do is you go to play, and you tap on it, and you tap here. That's how you select everything, is by looking and tapping. And I'll show you a real quick. These are the buttons you want to use for this next game, and it'll be familiar to you. You might want to use these buttons. They might do something, but I forget. It depends on the game.
Right.
This one is fucking weird. Sorry, I don't mean to swear.
Yeah. That's okay.
I don't mean to hurt any feelings.
Yeah.
Okay, so to go into a menu and get out, you tap. You can be. This might be made out of cardboard, but it's very durable. And these are the two buttons you want to press, and you want to flick. You want to flick on here. So to get out of the menu, tap on it like that.
Okay.
All right, he's got the headset on now.
Yeah,
Go ahead and tap on
okay.
the headset to select retry.
Okay. Reach. Oh, right.
Double tap. There you go.
Okay. Right then.
There you go. Now it's centered, and you can
Wow.
press the L and R button to flip your flippers. I put him in a game of pinball.
Wait. Which is the L? Okay.
There you
right
go.
then.
And then move that stick that I showed you earlier to flick the ball up.
Okay. Right. All right then.
It's pretty natural. You know how to play pinball.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
There you go.
Okay.
So you get this cool 3D pinball base that's kind of laid out in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
And all of this was made using the in-game game creation, which also teaches kids how to create games, basically. Like
Yeah.
simple ones.
Yeah. I'm only partially listening to you. I'm still playing pinball. Yeah. Yeah. But that's pretty neat.
It's pretty neat, but it gets weird.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't be bringing this up if it was just a weird, silly pinball experience thing. You can actually bring that up in the in-game editor and find out how they made that game and learn how to make something like that yourself in the confines of this one game. So it's a little more like Little Big Planet than a simple, shallow experience. But it gets
Right.
fucking... it gets very weird. It gets very weird. I'll show you. So, anyone who's familiar with the Nintendo Labo VR is gonna have probably heard about this windmill, this little pinwheel. And something weird that really caught people off guard when the Switch was first being a thing was this infrared sensor, almost like a Tamagotchi, on the bottom of this controller. And everyone's like, what is this for? It has 3 segments, and Nintendo showed us that it could theoretically tell if we had our hands out in front of the controller as a hand, as a fist, or as a scissors. You know, like to play rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, neat.
And they haven't used it much in the console's life yet, but it's very, very new. And now I know why they included it. It was for this. This weird stuff. It's a little pinwheel that on each little spoke here has an infrared sensible white texture.
Right.
So when it spins, the Nintendo Switch knows. And this is their response to taking the microphone out of the Switch. You know how the Switch used to have, or I guess the DS used to have a microphone. And they would use it to tell if you were blowing on something so you could, blow out candles in Zelda and stuff.
Oh.
And what they've done here oh god, what they've done is they've created a Toy-Con, which attaches to the front of this little dealie, clicks in there very satisfyingly, and
Wow. Yeah.
it's goddamn clever. This is how it relates to art, and this is why I brought it.
Yeah.
So, what you can do is we'll go to the menu.
Okay. I don't know how to do
Yeah.
that.
It's okay. Where's the other controller?
I haven't
put it somewhere.
The red one?
The red one.
It's
oh,
in
Doi.
the thing.
It's right there.
Yeah.
So you can. That's right. I forget about that. Oh yeah, that doesn't work. It's upside down. So I'll just go through the menu like this. Oh, I don't have the A button. I'll just tap. All right. So there's a few. This also having this windmill also adds that input to the player creation thing. So it's almost like another control style that you can completely take advantage of and make your own weird games. Here you go. I started up a demo for you.
Okay.
Go ahead and blow.
I just took a bite of pizza, so I'll try not to.
Not to blow chunks
Yeah.
everywhere.
Okay, did it move at all, or
It did.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay. Right then.
No, go for it.
Oh, okay. Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's currently furiously blowing at my Nintendo Switch. And
Yeah.
you can tap the R button up here to switch it to a different weapon.
Right. Which one's the R button?
Right up here, the one
okay.
you were using for pinball.
I don't play video games too often,
No,
so
that's
I
good.
don't know which. I should be a lot better at this. I used to be a trombone player, so.
Huh? That's rad.
Oh,
Nice.
so I unlocked like the sniper rifle or something.
And then if you press the R button again, you can switch to, I think, a machine gun thing? But it's really weird. It's crazy to me how this little device contraption is made out of cardboard in like
Woo! Got him right in the head.
maybe an hour of work.
Yeah. Okay.
And it makes you lightheaded. First of all, because you're getting motion sick. I mean,
Yeah.
not really, but
Yeah.
a little bit of motion like disorientation,
Mm-hmm.
almost like when you get a little bit tipsy.
Yeah, I felt that just now.
Yeah, and also you're blowing, which
Yeah.
is very.
Yeah, hyperventilating.
It's
onto it.
hyperventilating
Yeah.
essentially. That's why Nintendo has been throughout the years. They've been this company that's like, hey, take a chill pill. Stop. Maybe don't play our game for more than 2 hours at a time. And here they're like, hey, you've been playing for 5 minutes. You might want to take a break.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Because they don't want anyone going to the hospital from Nintendo VR poisoning.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, that's pretty neat.
It's really cool.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess I should talk about something that I do. So, let me just look at my notes here. Well, I pretty much just have to talk about like what I do, and so mostly I do webcomics and stuff, and right now I've been juggling a few different projects for my webcomics. Let me actually
You've got
pull up a couple.
You've got
I
your
can do that.
OCs, and then you've also got like the world of Halo.
Yeah. So my OC is basically just my slice of life comics. A bunch of characters that I made when I was, I don't know, 10 or something. Hold
So
on.
you've been
Let
at this
me
for a long time.
close the door a bit here, just to cut out background noise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay then. So, yeah, my OCs, I made them when I was like 10, so they're pretty old. Some of the oldest characters I've made, but I've just
really
got a
long time.
ton of these characters, and
And for the record, you're
Yeah.
how old now?
23. So yeah, that's about 13 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I just compiled all of the comics I made for them in college into a single book, and I'm selling it right now on Comic Central. I just got it
Oh, you are?
uploaded. Yeah,
Comic Central? What is Comic
Yeah.
Central?
it's a sort of platform where you can upload comic books, and stuff like that, and and sell it on that as a platform.
Will you link to that in the description?
Yeah, I probably will. Yeah, and
You
if
should.
you've got any social media stuff you want to link to,
I
can
do.
just yeah
Yeah.
send me that once we're done recording here. And,
My my social media page is well, my name is Trevor Shenaha, which is hard to spell, and I won't do it now. But I also have a YouTube page, which is called Clocean, which is like ocean, but spelled CHLOCEAN.
Right. Okay.
And I've been uploading my memes there. There's a few ones from video editing class, and I plan on buying a camera and making some more
Yeah, great.
fresh memes.
Yeah.
But your OCs are in a book now.
Yeah, I made my own book, Jackie and Max College Days, and basically just all the compiled adventures that they've gone through and everything.
That's awesome, like a definitive collection.
Yeah, of just like the 4 years of comics I made for them in the college.
That's interesting, because now
Yeah.
you've got 4 years of your life documented on pages.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, and 4 years of progress, because before I started that, I was not nearly the artist I am now.
Yeah, I saw your recent ones. You used foreshortening to show perspective, and and you can tell when there's the ones from the beginning. Foreshortening was very difficult for you, but now it's like second nature. It's very heartening to like a new artist to see how far you've come in 4 years.
Right. Yeah.
Because you've done it every day.
Yeah. Right. And that's the thing. I do like a new drawing or something creative every single day, and right now I'm also working on. Every day I do a drawing for a new comic I've been working on that I've posted a lot of material for on my social media called The Last Wizard of Aracroth. And it's sort of kind of hard to explain, but I can basically boil it down as a steampunk fantasy western. And so basically just the last wizard of this magical realm.
Those are the 3 coolest words I've ever heard in a single sentence.
Yeah, because I thought, hey, how's the best? What do I like to see in a story? And I just put that in. And so, yeah, you can see a lot of the.
I love the fact it's called Shambletown. like it was destined, or maybe they just made the town. And it was like immediately in shambles. Like that's just the thing.
Yeah. Let me pull up the next page there.
Or
I'm
is
going through pages here.
What's the canon of it? Did they name the town after it had become shambles?
Well, it's sort of partially inspired by, because I've been getting into a lot of anime recently, and I've watched a bit of Trigun, and so it's kind of inspired by a sort of. The wizard is this main character who's wanted and causes a lot of chaos and anarchy wherever he goes. So
incredible.
Yeah, and as you can see in this next page, there's just magical mayhem everywhere. A guy is turned into a tree, another guy is turned into a puddle.
A puddle?
Yeah. You see a puddle with his clothes just sitting in there.
So it's implied he just became a puddle.
Yeah, he's just melted.
See, for a second I thought the tree had stripped its clothing into a puddle, but now that I see what you're talking about, that is absolute, like, that's, imagine what torture he went through.
Yeah, like a lot of the magical stuff I come up with in this is actually pretty horrifying. Like, look at this guy down in the corner.
Oh my
He's like
gosh.
leaking yellow bile from his eyes and mouth and ears.
Jeez,
Yeah, it's kind of messed
I
up.
love it. I like the
Yeah.
minimal color on it. Like this.
Yeah, like the sort of plan I have for this is whenever magic is used, it's in color, and the rest of it is black and white.
That's rad, dude.
Yeah, so it sort of emphasizes whenever you see magic, that's in color.
Some people have this kind of synesthesia of, if you've ever heard of that word, it's a weird word that not a lot of people use, but it's the unconscious linking of two senses and emotions. Like someone who listens to music and can see shapes or colors depending on the instruments.
Oh, right.
But it can also happen with, like, one person saw color whenever they saw certain numbers. Like the number 1 was always red or something. But
right.
with this, that will appeal to some people who see color and immediately associate sounds or sights or scents or smells even.
Yeah. We do associate certain things with other things a lot of the time.
I don't know. Okay, I don't mention this a lot, but there was this thing where when I was a kid, and tell me if I'm crazy or if you did the same thing. I was a kid. I imagined letters and numbers as characters. Like, did you ever
kind of like on Sesame Street, where sometimes they come to life?
Similar to that.
Yeah.
You did?
I don't think I did.
Because I remember specifically one time asking my mother, "Hey, Mom, do you think the letter B is a boy or a girl?" And she's like, she looked at me and she's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And I'm like, I don't know. I kind of see him as like a tomboy, like hanging out and like chewing bubble gum. And she's like, "What? Literally, do I have to bring you to a mental psychiatrist?" And I'm like, "Probably."
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have a similar kind of synesthesia, but it's not in the useful way.
Yeah. So anyway, that's sort of the theme I'm going with there, and with the wizard, kind of, you can see him right here. Yeah, just kind of.
So he's all in color.
Yeah. Well, yeah, partially. He's got a lot of colorful things around him and stuff. And I plan on making the comic a little more colorful as it goes on, sort of as he brings color back. Brings magic back to the world.
You've got a very cool idea here. I like this.
Yeah.
And the art style here reminds me a little bit of album art for lo-fi hip-hop. It's always very minimalist, and just like some parts are colored, especially that frame. It's really beautiful. I think it's a good art style that works well with your drawing style.
Yeah, and I've got comic panels here that I haven't put into an actual page of into the pages of the comic, and let me pull a few up here, because here you can see I try to work on putting more detail into some of them, and here you can see.
This is amazing.
Yeah, more of the fantasy elements of it. Yeah, this is kind of a crowded panel of just one of the characters with a ton of guns and swords pointed at her.
This is very cool. And there's no color in this one, which is striking, but beautiful.
Yeah, I haven't added the color. What I do to make these is, when I go to work and I have a break off from work, I just draw them down in my sketchbook and ink them. And then when I take them home, I scan them into my computer and then put them into Clip Studio Paint and put them into pages and then color them.
A scanner is a very good way to turn your drawings into digital pictures. It's I used to just kind of hover my phone over my sketchbook, and I realized that's not always a great way to document
it
things.
leaves a lot of weird shadows and lighting issues. You got to worry about how it's lit and whether it's clear enough.
And the nature of it being on paper is it's ephemeral. It's very much something that will go away. You need to document it as soon as possible. As soon as you possibly can, in the most pure way, which is the best that I've found is just scanning.
Yeah, and here's one of the latest ones I did with the wizard himself. The first panel of the comic where you see his face. Yeah.
Oh, so you don't see his face until this moment.
Yeah, right. Throughout most of the comic, I'll pull up another couple of pages here. You don't see the faces of most of the main characters, or at least the full faces. You don't see the eyes of these characters. You see throughout this entire page and their interaction, his hair is covering his eyes and her hat is covering her eyes. And
do you know what this reminds me of? Like a comic style that your art kind of fits into a little bit is Tilly Walden. I don't know if you've ever heard of her stuff, but she made this book that I read called, what was it, Tilly Walden on a Sunbeam, and it was really, really cool. The cover of it had this kind of art style, but imagine instead of black there's white, and instead of white there's black.
Oh, sort of inverted.
Yes.
Like a negative.
And it also had very limited color on every page of it. But the fact that it was colored, it didn't have to be full Scott Pilgrim color. All it needed was just a very tight understanding of a couple of colors on each page. Like this.
Yeah.
This was the cover I didn't see, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, I remember doing stuff like that. That monochromatic, I think it's called, or like doing stuff with just one or two colors. I remember Professor Killian assigning us that in painting class. Like this painting I did right here with just this entire painting. I only did that in two colors, yellow and purple.
It's a really beautiful one. This painting reminds me of the backgrounds of what was it? Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
It looks like something you'd see there, but it also has a fantasy element that's more akin to a JRPG.
Yeah, and funny thing, this story I came up with kind of for this painting. I actually think I might incorporate it into this comic.
Oh, the wizards.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
You could use that as a template.
Kind of a magical steampunk fantasy castle.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, sort of a magical university type thing.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a very, very cool drawing. And I think that would be awesome. Is it going to be in full color, or will it be somewhat colorless in the comic?
In the comic, I think, well, since it's going to be the University of Magic in this world, it probably would have a lot of color.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Color.
What if imagine you know how every story kind of follows this action that's like normal life at the beginning, and then it slowly escalates into like an adventure, like this is a little weird, and then it dips down and gets like some shit goes down for the character. Really bad things happen, then it gets better again, but then it's not over yet. And then it goes back up and gets the ending.
Typical story arc type things.
Imagine, I mean, since you have more of a TV show kind of thing going on where there's no end that you have planned at the moment, as far as I know.
Yeah.
But could you imagine if during one of those dips where shit goes down, bad things happen, imagine if the art style turned more like this, like where most of it is black and very only the accents are white. That would provide a very interesting contrast with the other comics, and show that like stuff is not normal.
Yeah, because this comic would be one of my more serious ones, because mostly I typically do comedy and stuff.
Yeah,
and there will be comedic elements in this one, because, there are fairly comedic scenes and a lot more slapstick type stuff.
And you've got
here.
13 pages so far, yeah?
Yeah, there's nothing on the 13th one. That's just like
nice.
The template getting started. But
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Like starting a project and actually having something like set in place just feels awesome. And like you said, a lot of I feel like almost every comic artist needs a series that's just there as a self-insert. Like every artist, because you've had 4 years of college to document in your comics, and every comic artist, I think, needs a very simple set of characters that they can use to express things that were funny and things about college that like people don't normally talk about.
Yeah, Jackie and Max was kind of my self-insert. Like, quite literally, when I was a kid, he was just basically me. His personality was just mine and everything. And I've actually aged him with me as I've gone through college. So now in the story, I'm still writing Jackie and Max comics right now, and right now they graduated from college, the main characters, and they're going on to trying to find jobs and getting a house, and this is this year's comic. I've got about 13 pages of that done, actually, too.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And one of the things in some of the latest issues, in the latest pages I've done, is I've actually put in some of my paintings in as the background. I've taken pictures of the paintings.
That's very cool.
Put them in the background.
I like the mixture of digital and analog art.
Yeah.
Very cool. I think that gives a unique style to each comic. I always liked. Do you remember when SpongeBob would use real life? And just a straight up
just
sponge.
Little clips of live action and stuff.
The mixture between styles keeps it from getting boring. I think.
Yeah. And Jackie and Max is usually kind of my experimental series where I do a lot of weird stuff, like make comics out of actual garbage and stuff.
I remember
remember that when I did that in sculpture class.
I think when you show this in places, it should be hung low so that it looks like they're actually walking, and then you literally fill it with trash. I think that would be the best way to make kind of like a 4-dimensional art piece. It would be very cool.
Yeah, right. So I did this one for my senior show here.
It's a very, very beautiful image.
Yeah, right.
And literally, this is Aberdeen, South Dakota. You can walk outside and pick up trash from all around.
Yeah.
It might not be the most healthy thing to do. Sanitary. Yeah. But you can pick up like plastic bottles. Those are probably fine.
Yeah. Maybe rinse them out or something.
Yeah.
I don't want like spoiled soda or stuff on my artwork. But
today we were out picking up trash near Caribou Coffee, and there was just a plastic bottle, just absolutely like full of of a yellow liquid, and we were like, we better not pick that one up. That's gonna explode on us, and we know exactly what's inside of it. It was not good, but otherwise everything else was. It was nice to clean up that area a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So anyway.
Let's see.
Yeah, because I've got a ton of stuff in my Jackie and Max folder.
Yeah. Let's see it. I really love.
Yeah, what do you want to see?
Do you have any more 3-dimensional? I think you did. You made that one out of clay, right?
Yeah, that was in the.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was this one that that was a sculpture that this person was making. And what's that character's name?
Which one?
Making the
Jackie
sculpture?
and Sharon.
Sharon.
Yeah.
Sharon is
right.
building a sculpture, and the sculpture is actually extending off of the clay project.
Mhm.
So, like, you put this wire into the clay before firing it, right?
No, actually, I believe I added it later.
Oh.
Yeah.
How did you come up with this idea?
I can't remember how I came up with it. I think I just wanted to incorporate more stories in my comic, because we had to pick a theme for sculpture class for all of our artwork. So mine was sequential artwork, and so I had to. Well, I tried to make something that was more in a sequence and in a story. So, yeah, I made a little comic out of clay.
Yeah, our professor Greg Blair, he actually, I think, won an award for this year for his outstanding professorship. But
earned it.
Yeah, he definitely earned it.
Yeah,
he does an awesome job.
Yeah.
But he forced us as to kind of put a interesting obstacle to keep us from going too crazy with these ideas. He's like, we're gonna hone in on one idea the whole semester.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you got to choose the book and use that book throughout the year to make art based on what inspired you from it. And and I think the one I chose was what was it? Dollars and Cents or something?
Yeah, something about Walmart.
Yeah,
I believe it was.
It was based on big corporations such as Walmart, Target, etc., and how you could get more money circulating around your local economy by shopping locally first if you can, instead of going to Walmart or Target, because when you're buying from, like, Barnes & Noble, say, you go to Barnes & Noble and buy a book, only about what was it, 10% of that gets circulated around the local economy to pay those workers that work there, and then they go and spend it elsewhere, probably at Walmart. And otherwise, if you go to a bookstore like the one across from Kessler's, owned by a sweet old lady.
Yeah, I love that bookstore. She is
awesome. She is very passionate.
Sweet old ladies that run that shop.
Yeah. And you spend it there, and around 40% of that money then gets completely moved around the economy, like to kind of help. They called it Vol Street instead of Wall Street. It's a good way to keep Aberdeen healthy. If you can go to the store, the stationery store, and buy envelopes before you head out to Walmart and buy envelopes.
I didn't even know we had a stationery store.
There is the office stores on Main Street, I think. I think I went to Dakota Ink, but I'm not sure.
I didn't even know what a stationery store was. I didn't even know they had those.
It's like a Hallmark, but locally owned.
Neat.
I don't know if it was Dakota Ink. I think that's only for printers, but something like that. Anyway, it's interesting. That was what I chose, and throughout the year, I had to make projects centralized around that idea, and so it was a really cool, almost like when they made Kirby on the Game Boy original, and they had to take this big artistic idea and condense it down to a little tiny dinky cartridge, and they're like, and it made something that was probably better than if they had their entire range of ideas in front of them. It's kind of like centralized focus. It's really cool.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay, so, what else do we have to talk about?
Oh,
Do you?
I do.
You
I
wanna
brought
talk
some scrawler boxes, which are these little handy. You can hear everything rolling around. They're these handy little boxes that you get once a month for $20, and they get shipped from Europe. So it's kind of funny. You'll sometimes get things that are rare to Europeans as an artist, like Sharpies, and then you'll be like, well, I could have.
Sharpies there?
It's one of those things where, like, if you go to a specialized art store, they probably have them. But otherwise, if you go to a gas station, you're probably not going to find Sharpies. So to them, it's like a cute little treat. It's like, oh, I get to mess with Sharpies. And what it does is it helps you try out different art. And you can see they make the box white so you can use it as a canvas to try these out.
Sure.
I thought these were really fun. Each day, each month, they give you a guide word to help you inspire you to make art. And this one is plumage.
Oh, cool.
Here's one of the comics I made with some of the art supplies in here.
Pretty good. I first saw this and I thought this was just something they printed on the card, but
they do that also. They also do that, and I'll show you some of those. But yeah, this was I took some cool what was it? Some cool colored pencils that they made, or that they included, and this was one of the print offs that they gave me to help inspire. But it was weird. They gave it to. It looks like it's something you can color, but it surprisingly has this glossy finish that doesn't really work well with colored pencils.
Yeah.
And they also give you this little guy. Look at that. Look at how tiny that tip is.
Oh, yeah, the ultra fine point.
Yeah, so they give you fun stuff to.
That's the shit.
It is the shit. It's it's this little thing to mess with each month, and I wanted to call attention to it because Scrawler Box, spelled SCRAWLRBOX, is this little service that I don't hear anyone talking about, and it's one of my lifesavers to inspiration because you'll get this box and they'll include like sketchbooks. Almost every month there's a different sketchbook, so you'll never run out of paper, and you can even decorate the fronts of them. This was a cool little one I got. This month had actually a lot of fun stuff, like this metallic paint marker. That here, I'll let you hold on to that while I go ahead and try and find this.
That's kind of the problem with me is I've got too much art supplies.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's why I use this, and
because people keep giving it to me as like birthday and Christmas presents, and
that's true.
It just stacks up. I've got drawers full of inks and pencils, and I've got entire cases full of colored pencils.
Once you get them organized, which I obviously haven't done yet, it's really cool to have an excess amount of things. So, like, say if you're like, well, I really need white pen, and then you've got a few at the ready. These things are lifesavers. Look at that stuff.
Yeah. Well, my purchasing of art supplies has kind of dropped off ever since I started doing digital comics and stuff.
That's very true.
Yeah. Because I can just do so much of that stuff digitally.
Right now, the reason I'm stocking up on all sorts of physical art supplies is because I'm starting a new comic series. This one is mostly a self-insert, but the other one is also 3 characters that I've been thinking of and developing the world of for quite a while.
Oh.
And it's called Blue Pink and Stark, but Pink is spelled P-E-E-N K or something.
Pink.
Blue, Pink, and Stark. So obviously the characters are colored as such, but it shouldn't be obvious at first that the comic, while it looks cutesy and fun, it has some it tackles some really like head-on issues, like in fact the whole naming scheme of them and the color scheme of them is, one of them is blue, like a very light, and this one was inspired by my traditional art that I got from
kind of
here.
like a Steven Universe sort of thing.
Sort of like that.
Yeah,
because
like modern kids shows look all colorful and fun, and then drop some heavy shit on you.
oh my god, like Adventure Time did that.
Yeah.
Adventure Time did that. It was many years in the future, and I was using this color scheme to test out. It was with these markers that I got from the box, and they're these really, so blue will be this kind of turquoise blue that's like a highlighter color. Pink will be this, which is also a very a pastel pink, and then Stark will be white. So if you can imagine, we put blue, pink, and Stark together, and it makes red, white, and blue, but very undersaturated. So we're talking about America here, but it won't be super obvious at first. It'll just be a slice.
I see.
Yeah, it'll just be a slice of life thing, but it will also talk. It'll be like Mr. Rogers. It will have this exterior look of being very family friendly, of all ages, but it will also not shy away from talking about the deep stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'd like to try in some of my Jackie and Max cartoons. Like, I do a lot of comedy and stuff in there, but if I get the chance, if I get good enough at drawing it, I may try and delve into more heavier subjects with some of the characters, because each character has their own family problems and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. So that is something I'm interested in doing myself for some of my
exploring
comics.
some heavy issues.
Yeah, social issues and stuff like
Absolutely.
that.
And
yeah,
what better way to do it than in a format that is like quickly digestible and doesn't get too SJW, you know?
Right.
You have to find a good balance of being critical but also understanding of all sides.
Yeah. For me, what I think is kind of important is that you have to develop your characters and story first, and then integrate the message into it.
What?
Yeah.
So you're saying we shouldn't be like J.K. Rowling and be after the fact? Yeah. By the way, Snape is a Jew, and it's like, when did you establish this? When did this play into the story?
He was described as having a very hooked nose in the comic.
I actually kind of just pulled that out of my ass.
Oh.
So I might be making it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was totally messing around.
Yeah. Didn't even think of that.
So what we're thinking of doing, we don't have a terribly long podcast here, but we were thinking of at some point putting together a collaborative effort. And what I'm thinking is, while we talk, we could be adding to this this big open piece of paper we've got here.
Okay.
And just do kind of a gesture style thing. And so I kind of want to introduce you to this little guy. Go ahead and. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Here you go. Let me to the lap desk.
darn artists almost always have so much crap.
It's very true. Here you go. And it's very oversized. So go ahead and just make a big whatever the heck you can think of,
Yeah.
and I'll add on to it. At the end of this, so here's what you want to do with this one. This is also from the Scrawler box, I think 3 months ago. There's these little sides that say push, and you push to release some liquid.
Oh.
And it's a watercolor brush.
Oh, so it's like a little
You can use
thing.
you can use as much or as little as you want. As long as it gets used, like you said, I have too much art supplies, so why not use it to make something productive?
Yeah. Okay. Neat.
All right. Cool. So,
Yeah.
So what are your future plans now? Whoop for Jackie and Max. They moved to the city, right?
Yeah. Right now they moved to New York. The whole gang just kind of moved into one house, and they're gonna start living there. The plan is basically just a bunch of comedy and drama coming from just their social interactions, and because each character has like a very extreme personality, I guess I should say.
It's almost dramedy.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Just a term I literally thought up, and now it's a thing. Dramedy.
Yeah, so kind of dealing with their problems, and
that's cool.
Because each one, I'm kind of planning on sort of a story arc for each of them. I'm kind of still trying to figure out which one to do first. I may kind of delve into maybe Sharon's or maybe Wally's or one of those characters.
Backstories?
Yeah, kind of backstories. Sharon's story arc kind of involves like her mother, and because Sharon's mother is a famous artist and she always wanted to be like her, but her mom was just so obsessed with art she couldn't even remember her own daughter's name. So I want to kind of do a story about that and stuff like that.
That would be rad. It's almost kind of like you were talking about, where you don't treat your audience like they can't handle serious things.
Yeah.
In a comic series that is so close to you and very like personal, that doesn't mean you should shy away from like driving it away a little bit from the comical roots.
Yeah, right. I'm trying to find the comic because I've already started sowing the seeds of each of their character arcs already in their comedic interactions. Like this one here with Sharon and her mom I did for a Christmas comic where Sharon comes home for the holidays. Yeah, and so that's kind of their interaction. So, yeah. But also, I'm planning on sort of a sitcom-esque type of dynamic where different character arcs interweave with one another at the same time. So, like, Wally may be dealing with some shit, like he bought a tank or something, and it's causing a bunch of trouble, and then, yeah, that sort of thing.
Alright, let's see what I can do here. I'll pass it off in a moment. Character going on here.
Yeah, neat.
There's always this joke going on about my art that you can only go so far, you can only have something that I make go so long before it eventually has a cute face on it.
Right.
There it is. Look at that.
Yeah.
There it is.
The Kirby type thing.
Yeah. The eyes are very much Kirby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh shoot! I didn't finish the tongue. Hang on, my bad.
Does that bleed through the page at all? That
It's a very
Watercolor
thick
stuff.
page, and honestly, if it
Oh,
does,
wow.
it's no biggie.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we need to try and figure out something to draw.
Yeah, if you want, there you go.
Okay.
But
Go with green.
so I've got a couple of things I've outlined around here that I think. Oh, one quick thing. Nobody can use this idea. Nobody listening can use this idea ever. But I really think that there should be an indie band called Small Act of Rebellion. I just think that's a really cool name. Don't steal my idea. But actually, if anyone is making a band and want to call it Small Act of Rebellion, that would be rad. And please do it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, actually, I was thinking of trying to make my own music videos with something. Because I've been trying to make an art project where I make some musical instruments out of scraps and stuff. And
have you been taking a text video editing class?
I took it back when I was in college. I did a bit of video editing.
Okay, so you know the basics of it, yeah.
Yeah, and I do edit a bit of stuff for my YouTube videos and stuff.
That's rad.
Yeah,
that's a good start. I think that is important.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But because I've got this sculpture or this old art project that was a trombone guitar hybrid I've made. That, yeah, I probably want to play sometime. Make some music with.
Have you gotten it working?
Yeah, it works.
No kidding.
Yeah, you can play the trombone and the guitar. And it's got a drum head on it too.
I saw that when you were making it.
Let me see.
That's a very, very cool piece that I remember very vividly.
Yeah, right. And I've been thinking of making another one because I've got this old, I don't know, like a clarinet or sax case that's just like a square suitcase. And I've been thinking if I take a bunch of PVC pipes and put little rubbery pads or something that slap down on the ends of the pipes, I could make some sort of percussion instrument.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. And make a music video with playing that and stuff.
Oh, that's such a cool idea.
Yeah. Just call myself Scrapman, dress up in a steampunk outfit.
Like Scatman.
Oh.
You could call yourself Scrapman John. I don't know. Did you ever listen to Scatman?
I've never heard of him.
You've never.
What?
Folks, today for the first time, I'm going to. Please don't demonetize this. If it gets demonetized, I mean, honestly, it probably is within the realm of getting demonetized. Don't include it in the final. But
yeah.
Scatman John. Do we start with Scatman's World? This is literally. All right. I think me playing it on my phone will be far enough away from the mic that we won't get demonetized.
I can turn down the mic too if it helps.
Oh, that. Yeah. There's if you ever wanted to be transported back to the early 2000s. There you go.
Wow, man. Okay. Yeah, that does sound very early 2000s.
It sounds like the date that people would ask what song is this, and people would say it's Darude Sandstorm, but it would actually be Darude Sandstorm.
Yeah, that's the thing about me. I've never heard of anything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I've never seen all those popular movies. I don't know anything about all those famous celebrities.
Really?
I spend so much time working on my own little stories that I don't really catch up with stuff like that.
Oh, like
famous artists. Yeah, I know a lot of songs, but I don't know who made them or even the title of the song.
I was like that a while ago too, and then I started to I started to kind of like progressively like I would tell people that, and then they would be like, "Dude, you have to experience this thing," and I would be like, "Oh, fucking all right, I guess." It's like, oh, fucking say I gotta see Inception, cool, and then I ended up seeing it. And I'm like, dude, I see the appeal. So here, let's make him a lumpy boy. Look at that.
Yeah. He's talking about the drawing, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Let's not take that out of context.
We're creating a lumpy boy. Looks like a dragon kind of thing.
Okay. Right.
Oh yeah, whatever you like. Use.
Yeah. Try and find
all of these. I challenge you to use those. But yeah, we got a pretty decent drawing turning out over here. We're not sure what it is or what it entails, but it's gonna be probably in the new Detective Pikachu movie, Detective Pikachu 2, the Pikachu-ning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new Detective Pikachu movie? I guess it just came out.
Came out yesterday.
I haven't followed it very closely.
I haven't either. I haven't seen it. Have you?
No, me neither. But it looks actually pretty good.
It looks really good. I think my friends went there. One of my roommates went there when like the day it came out, and said that Aberdeen's like movie theater was completely empty. Was almost completely empty, like during the early showing of it. And I said, well, that makes sense. There were some low, like tempered expectations in the reviews that I saw, and it was because all of the reviewers that people see on major sites are people who did not grow up with Pokemon. And
so yeah.
A lot of the jokes I've heard are dependent on knowing the source material. And so there's like there's a lot of like 50% ratings and old people saying like the only reason this movie was worth watching was Ryan Reynolds because he was in Deadpool. And it's like, okay, cool, but also fuck you, because this is clearly a movie made with people who love Pokemon in mind. The character designs are not redesigned to sell new merchandise the way Sonic the Hedgehog is. The new trailers, or like the new Detective Pikachu movie, is made by people who loved the source material.
Yeah.
And people who grew up with it.
Yeah. Yeah. That Sonic trailer.
Ooh.
We both winced at the same time.
We can all agree it was the best trailer we've ever seen. Literally nothing will exceed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
Yeah. As someone who has an active interest in character design, I cringed so hard at that.
To me, it felt like, hey, like everyone's like, wow, the greatest thing about this movie is gonna be Eggman because it's played by, what the fuck is his name?
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, and he does a very good job with what he's given.
Yeah.
He does he's. I've heard so many people say it, and it's because it's true. He's the only saving grace to that movie.
Yeah.
But not in a good way.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean he saves the movie. It means, how the fuck did they get him for this movie?
Yeah. That movie looks like it was pulled straight out of the early 2000s by a time machine.
You know what pisses me off about the Sonic movie? You're right. It does. And it's the fact that...
It feels like it's 10 years too late.
Yeah, it feels like it's a kids' movie made by people who grew up with those kinds of kids' movies.
Yeah, like Garfield.
Yeah, Garfield, too. Tale of Two Kitties, man. Why? Why did they make him CG? Why the fuck did they make him CG? But it does. It feels like it was made by a person in a suit who who maybe played the game once at his friend Tim Punt's house. But
yeah.
um,
Yeah, you know what that design, it just made me think, it's like they thought, okay, this is the real world, it's live action, so we have to make him realistic, so they made him look human. But they also said, okay, but he's a cartoon character, so we have to make him a little cartoony, so they tried doing that, but then they said, okay, he's a hedgehog, so we gotta make him like an actual animal, so they gave him this weird hedgehog nose, and they're trying to do so many things at once, and
that don't work.
they don't mesh.
They don't mesh.
Yeah.
You're 100% right
Yeah.
about that. And
with Detective Pikachu, it's just they chose one thing and stuck with it.
yes. And I've heard people say about Detective Pikachu, the only saving grace is Ryan Reynolds' delivery, but that's because it's made by frickin' ultracritic.com, who's owned by your angry uncle, and and he's maybe watched you play Pokemon one time and he hated it, and so he's like, the only good thing about the movie, but Sonic the Hedgehog, people saying the only good thing about it is Jim Carrey, is the same excuse, but there's not a good movie to back it up.
Yeah.
And even if you know the source material, especially if you know the source material, it's going to be bad.
Yeah. There's not a lot to work with for the source material. I mean,
I beg to differ. Have you seen the Sonic Bible?
Oh, no.
Have you?
No.
When Sonic first came out, Brian David Gilbert did a video on this. When Sonic first came out, it was given a definitive lore and ways that everything should be portrayed from now on.
Do they? Have you seen? I don't know. The games seem kind of all over the place.
That's the problem. None of the games after the first one followed the Bible, even though it was meant to be the Bible and define everything that Sonic was supposed to be. Nobody followed it because it was stupid. It was about Robotnik was a good guy, and he was so the game is all about pollution and the world becoming covered in trash. And as the world gets more and more polluted, Robotnik, who was Sonic's caretaker because his mother died, Robotnik turned evil because of the pollution. And none of the games ever mentioned this or made any specific use of this fact. It was just kind of thrust upon people, and the people working at Sega. And this was before a time where it was really regulated, so they were just like, whatever, we'll make him a weeaboo anime frickin' hedgehog who kisses humans in Sonic 06, and they didn't ever follow the Sonic Bible. This is
that's news to me. I've never heard of that.
I think what would look really good on this is different. Oh, I meant to show you this. Real quick, we're going back to Scrawlerbox for a second. Sorry for getting off track with Sega there. Sega and Sonic and, regular art shenanigans, such as the shitty art style of the new movie that everyone says is going to be so bad it's good, and I keep saying it's going to be bad enough that it's bad.
Yeah, well, they're changing the design, though.
They are, and imagine how much...
So it's just going to be meh instead of so bad it's good.
Imagine how disgusting the rushed animation is going to be. That thing has to come out in, November. They don't have that much time. I wanted to show you these.
Well, I mean, Sonic, he looks throughout most of the trailer like he's just artlessly plopped on top of the screen, so I don't know if it would take too much effort to change him out with something else.
Like, anything that looks a little bit better than that is fine.
Yeah.
I wanted to show you this crazy thing before we...
And then his mouth looks like it's plopped on top of that.
Oh, God.
Looks
ew.
like the annoying orange.
He put real human teeth on Sonic.
His face looks like a Snapchat filter.
Yeah. Ew. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to show you something before we end up hitting our limit. Check this out. I want you to try this.
Combining mixtures of ink.
Look at how wrong this feels. So what I'm doing is, in the last 2 Scrawler boxes, there have been these pens that are like Blendy pens from when we were kids, but they actually don't break and get the color permanently on them and dry out. Try this. Just try coloring our little buddy
I think
here.
I remember hearing about Blendy pens. I've never used one, but
They're cool. These are Blendy pens, but for artists. Look at that. Isn't that cool?
Oh yeah, now I remember the commercials for Blendy pens.
Yeah. It's full of all
This
sorts of
brings back-
shades and hues.
This brings back memories.
Yeah, they are not real Blendy pens, but they are made in the same vein as Blendy pens, but for real artists who are actually serious. And since this is a clear marker, after a while it will return to being clear.
I see.
And after it returns to being clear, you
Sure.
can use it like a Photoshop tool.
Let's see
Smudge.
what else I can blend into here.
Yeah. Try it. It's crazy. You can buy a whole box of these, and the cool combinations you can make are insane.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Sorry for all those people at home who just are sitting here listening to this. You're probably thinking, "Oh, what are they doing?"
We can show a picture of the finished product.
Yeah, I'll
And,
try and see if my video editing skills are up to snuff. Yeah.
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 Don't actually snuff though. That's really bad for you.
Yeah.
And also, because this is a clear pen, it can be used like a Photoshop tool where you blend it together.
Oh.
So
Right.
So it's like if you need it.
I just mixed yellow and purple. It'll probably make black now.
Or
brown.
They're complementary colors on a fundamental scale. So they actually are very good to help make shadows, like you said. So
Right. Yeah.
It kind of
Right.
makes a cool little But yeah, and another thing. Here, could you hang on to this for a sec?
Yeah. Sure.
We're kind of passing this thing back and forth, but
Yeah.
it is very important because it's really cool stuff that I didn't know you could do before Scrawler Box came along, and I think it's in the box that says "fuck off." So we will find that one here. There it is.
Yeah.
Here we go. And these are new ones that I got in the most recent Scrawler Box. They are Ecoline brush pens, and they're big boys. But I thought they were gonna snap together. They don't snap together.
Oh.
So you can't make like lightsabers
Darn.
like you used to when you were
Yeah.
a kid.
Yeah.
But these ones are like these, but pastels.
Oh.
So you can mix these ones together and even mix them with these ones too. So go ahead and give that one a go.
Yeah, okay, right then.
So it works as a brush pen.
Sure.
It almost looks watercolor-esque. Or like a really good version of a Crayola marker you would have used. Yeah, and if you put colors next to it and then use the blending brush marker, you can make a cool gradient kind of thing on paper. And this is why I've exclusively been doing my stuff on real paper. Yeah, I can't wait to see how this blends out.
Which one is the blending?
This one or this one?
Okay, right. Yeah. There's so many pens on here.
You should try doing it like that. There you go.
Ooh. Yeah. I see.
Ooh,
Yeah.
it made almost a kind of gray, but like
Yeah.
a very
Yeah.
muted gray.
Mixing green and purple here for those listening.
The finale does
Yeah.
look a little bit watercolor.
Yeah, I actually like that.
I really like how it looks
Yeah.
too. And actually, it's starting. Our buddy is starting to formulate into something actually tangible.
Yeah. I don't know. Are those like liquid wings or something on his
They
side?
are like wings, but they are formless.
Ah.
Um.
Okay.
So let's see if we can get some yellow action on in there, along with this
Yeah.
pastel green. I think
Right.
this is gonna look lemon limey.
Ooh, cool.
And even
Yeah,
though they're
right.
not in the same brand, one of them is a Brush Marker Pro by Karen, and the other one is an Ecoline pastel brush pen. But they both combine together to make a really neat summery color.
Ooh.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, sort of an orange and green, kind of almost like a sunset type.
Yeah. And that one could be one of them, and then the other one could be, and also be kind of a callback to the one you did down there.
Yeah,
And
sure. Just coloring in different segments of our caterpillar thing.
but
It kind of looks like a caterpillar.
I'm also working on a comic. I can't say terribly much about it because for obvious reasons it's an idea that is not real yet. But this is like a gray marker. I see. It's an idea about ants living in an ant hill,
Right.
and one of them at the beginning of the book dies and goes through life-changing, life flashing before his eyes kind of thing. Because when you die, there is DMT that's released in your brain, and DMT is the same chemical that is released when you dream. So I looked up if ants dream, and they do. So they must also have the light flashing before their eye kind of thing. So that's kind of the basis of my book, but there's a lot more that goes on under the hood.
Right. Alright, neat.
It looks like we've almost got I'm drawing here. I think what I want to do to finish him up, him or her, is to give him a little weird, kind of swoosh. Give him a little swoosh here. Is it in here? Not in there. Oh yeah, this one came with a kneadable eraser, which smells really funky. Interesting. So you want to find a way quick to give him a tail, like a really long tail. I'm thinking that's kind of curvy.
Right.
You can make it go whichever way you like, but as long as it stems from here and kind of goes off on its own thing.
And
I like the movement lines you put there.
Movement?
Yeah. Or
those are fingers for a hand that's holding him.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's cool. I actually like that. Let's mess with that a little bit.
Yeah. So maybe make a tail that's like wrapping around the wrist or something.
That would be cool, like a lizard or a gecko does to keep itself steady.
Okay. All right then. Let me see here. Do we have like just the black pen or something?
The black pen. Yep. It's got to be here. That is a light gray pen. Here's our buddy here. This big guy.
All right then. Thanks.
And I've dumped every marker I have on your couch. So far so good.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. I think we've got something turning out here. Let me
Yeah.
see about
I
this.
started working on the tail and giving it some scales and stuff.
I think I know what to do here. We're gonna go with. Okay. I think I know what we're doing here. Okay.
Yeah, so lately I guess I can talk about another one of my comic projects I've been working on lately, because, you know, the Sandbox Chronicles I make?
Yes.
Yeah, the little Halo characters.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's, for those of you listening who don't know, I make an RVB fan comic, a Red vs. Blue from Rooster Teeth fan comic of just my own little Red vs. Blue characters in their own little outpost, just messing around. And
Presumably, while the other guys are out having adventures, these guys are sitting here having their own.
yeah, that's pretty much the premise of it. And yeah, right now I just finished season 1 of the Sandbox Chronicles very recently. I finished that season, and I'm actually curious if how many of these I made, because I've got about like 6 folders on my computer that are just pages and pages of this comic. So yeah, I've been working on this for a little over a year now, and I just wrapped up season 1. So, and right now online I'm posting a few issues of spin-off dealing with the freelancers and stuff from that. Do you watch RVD?
I have not seen. I have seen Rooster Teeth, and I've seen a little bit. Like, I know the premise of RVB, but it's only from a couple clips I've seen, like the Game Grumps.
Right. Yeah. In the show, it actually starts out very comedic and gets really serious.
Does it?
Yeah. It gets really serious and dramatic and has a lot of action and stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because as the company Rooster Teeth grew, they just started upping the production value of their show and actually started putting in animation.
Yeah, they took in a lot of talent that really did a number for the entirety of the group. This defined Rooster Teeth for a long time. Wasn't there one of the main animators throughout the series just passed away, didn't he?
Yeah, a few years ago. Yeah, Monty Ohm.
We would have been in
main
high school.
Animators. Yeah. And he made a series called Ruby that I'm a big fan of. Yeah, have you watched that?
I have not, but I've also heard great things about that.
It's sort of anime-esque type show where just a bunch of girls go to a school where they learn to fight monsters and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, and every weapon is also a gun.
I have a few friends who are very big into Ruby, to the point where one of my friends named her cat Blake.
Yeah.
After Ruby, and I thought that was just a perfect name for a cat. Especially because it was one of those like breaking gender norms name. It was a girl cat named Blake.
Well, I think Blake can be a girl name too.
It can, but I didn't think of that until everyone. My favorite thing is everyone meets this cat and they're like, "What's their name?" And we say Blake, and they're like, "Oh, what a good boy!" And it's like, yeah. Well, Blake in the show is a girl. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. Right. And then we explain that to them, and they usually understand. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like with cat ears and everything.
Okay, so I have an idea. We're going to create a genuine color scheme for this guy.
Okay.
Here we go. Kind of
right now, it's kind of just rainbow everywhere.
Yeah.
all over the place.
So
color
we're
scheme.
gonna add some little bits like this green fin kind of thing. Oh, that's the hand. That's the hand.
Oh,
Red alert.
yeah.
Red alert. That's the hand. Okay. So
Mm.
no worries. I got this.
It's all part of being an artist.
It is
Creative solutions.
happy oxidants.
Well, he's got a green thumb now.
He does have a green thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very true. Maybe the hand will also be multicolored.
Yeah.
Because we're not racist here on the what's the name of this podcast again?
Crazy Creatives Podcast.
Crazy Creatives Podcast. We're not racist here. We don't care if your hand is green, yellow.
Yeah, we're not racist. We're not the KKK.
We're not the kids' crazy carnival.
Oh man, we brought it full circle.
Yeah. That was a good enough high five.
Nah. Yeah, good enough.
Besides, my favorite thing is bad high fives.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, I got an idea.
Hmm?
Let's outline his finger in green on the parts where shadow is. Then we can pass it off as something that's just a shadow. Like here.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
See, his hand is in green
Maybe
shadow.
I should turn on the light here.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting dark in here.
It is. So here we go. There we go. Now we're getting the full experience here of this gray hand that has hints of green.
Yeah, sure.
And I think
That'll work.
oh, those are long fingers, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, not my best work.
No, it's all good. Sometimes that's an artistic choice. You own it. Freaking own it, Miles.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's just one of the fantasy races in my comic.
Yeah.
With my Last Wizard of Erecroft comic, I like to mess around with anatomy and stuff. So, yeah, I plan on coming up with all sorts of different fantasy races with weird body proportions. And
don't take that out of context either. I like to mess with anatomy.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, everyone, please take that out of context.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Now we've got the starts of greenish hand.
'Cause, yeah, like stuff like this I started working on for just a little bit of world building I like to do for my comics and stuff. You can see, yeah, different body shapes and things.
Crazier jawbone.
Yeah,
almost looks like, someone who is very thin in the real world or like in regular anatomy, because they got that kind of
very pronounced cheekbone type of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And, I've been working on a few other different types of fantasy races or stuff like that. Well, because in this world, there's, like, the empire that runs everything that is full of normal-looking people, and I'm gonna try and pull up a map here of Erecroft so I can give you some kind of idea of what the empire looks like. And, And so, as you can see, the empire... Yeah.
It's made to look like the people.
Yeah.
Or is it like a normal...
It's just kind of like a weirdly distorted vaguely humanoid shape for the main continent.
That's interesting. Do you think
Yeah.
that there's going to be a story arc or something, or not an arc, but there's something where like it was an ancient giant?
It's part of the lore is delves into why it's shaped like that.
Interesting.
So yeah, like part of the mythology and like the gods and
that's
deities
freaking cool.
of this world. Yeah.
I like stories that delve into
Yeah,
that.
and so I've got a few stories about different things, like why his index finger on the west side of him is missing, and where the neck of his body came from, because it's like a scrawny little neck.
A scrawny little neck.
Yeah, because it's like a little land bridge you can see right
Oh,
in the middle.
I see.
Yeah.
So there's only one way to get in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Amir, that little country in the head, is the empire. It's like the ruling country of the empire, and all the other countries around it are under their control.
Where does the story begin?
The story, the comic proper begins over in Holvad, in like the west hand of the place. So, yeah. And there's a bunch of, it's basically kind of the Wild West.
Right.
Where there's a bunch of, like, ruins, and I'm going to try and see if I can pull up the right panel here. There's a bunch of ruins and other things of this long-lost civilization that was once conquered by the Empire, and they lit. I don't really have colored, so I just have to pull the uncolored one up. But the entire place is basically just a bunch of ruins with an old west town built into or around them, as you can kind of see here. Yeah. So
That's
sort of
crazy.
an old civilization with magic and stuff, and the Empire's kind of squashed it out, so to speak.
Squashed it out.
Yeah, like getting rid of the magic, and only the elite can use magic.
Hence the reason it's in black and white.
Mm-hmm. And why the wizard is a wanted man.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's full of color.
Because, used magic illegally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
there's like a whole bureaucratic system for using magic. Like only nobles and people directly descended from the emperor can use magic. And
whoa.
yeah, and if they give you permission, you can use magic, but you can only have like a license for certain things.
Wow. So it's like it's very much they want control.
A ton of bureaucracy just layered on magic,
or do they want the money from people having to use magic in the ways they want?
That's not a bad idea. Yeah, I could use that for part of it. Yeah, like some people overtaxing the use of magic to the point where nobody uses it anymore.
And it would be used in ways that are not
helpful in any way.
Not helpful, not commercially viable. As in, like, you know, have you ever played BioShock?
No.
Okay, so in BioShock, all of them, literally all of them, there's always this recurring theme of superpowers that you can purchase, but only for a temporary amount of time. They will go away, and I'm sure there would be a way to get them so that they work on you all the time, but that's reserved only for the richest. Like, you can purchase these plasmids in the original BioShock that are very much superpowers in an injection. Because it's this game that happens underwater. So, in this world, it's kind of this economy of, like, everyone can keep what they earn. Like, it's kind of a reasonable society. Like, if you earn it, you get it. There's no socialism to speak of. It's all, like, if
like if you don't have it, you don't deserve it. You so like they start this plasmid company that is using slugs from the deep ocean, like the very, very bottom of the ocean, and using and channeling energy from those to fuel people's basically drug addiction, but for superpowers. And so
Interesting.
all of the enemies you face in Bioshock are people who have used plasmids, but it got out of hand.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, it's not quite like that in Heracroft. It's just kind of the Empire doesn't trust the average person with magic because several hundred years ago, a bunch of wizards got too crazy with magic and just got power hungry, and everything got out of hand, and a bunch of weird magical experiments just ran loose all over the place, and
They got fucking had.
yeah, and there was a big magical war to take them out of power, and eventually the Empire was formed out of it. And yeah, so that's kind of the basic history of it. I could probably fill an entire video with a history of this land because it's got, because I try to make a sort of history for each and every country and their own geography and everything. So, yeah, like if you want to ask me about any of the, because each one studies their own type of magic and stuff. So you've got like Holvad that studies divination magic, or like scrying magic.
How do you how does the geography of these places, such as Nizek, for instance, I don't know if I'm butchering the name. How does do the islands nearby make the culture there different from like the Hands?
Okay, Nizek is basically a very industrialized country because that's the country where the nobles study alchemy, and yeah, each country is limited to a specific type of magic. So even the nobles are limited in their use of magic by the Emperor himself. So Nizek practices a lot of alchemy and uses a lot of scientific stuff. They make a bunch of gas for the airships for the Imperial fleet. They have a bunch of Zeppelin-type ships that run around, and they fight off sky pirates that are in a bunch of islands around the area.
So is Nizek one of the places where much of the goods come from?
Yeah, Nizek mostly comes up with a lot of scientific research, as well as Kletir, which is kind of its business partner that comes up with a lot of machinery and technological advances like golems and machinery. And, yeah, Yashid is a place that involves a lot of magic involving magical creatures, so they tame magical creatures like monsters and things like that and use them for power, and yeah, as a form of like slavery, kind of.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Well, they don't consider magical creatures people. In Kletir and Nizek, they do. The rights kind of vary from country to country. Yeah, the Emperor doesn't really care how the countries are run, just so long as they pay him enough troops and taxes.
What is the importance of being the head for Emir?
Emir is basically where the Emperor resides and where the Empire is controlled by. So you have both the Magical Academy, which I mentioned earlier, where all the nobles learn their magical trade, and that's basically controlled by the Emperor himself, and so he controls what people learn there. But also, that's the military academy it houses there, which controls the entire fleet and basically the entire council and royal palace where the emperor lives and works. And so you've got like those three branches of power in the empire that kind of run everything. Yeah, so Amir is kind of the big, huge capital city where everything is decided and
That's what
stuff
it
like
looks,
that.
That's what I imagined.
Yeah.
What does it look like in between those islands? Is it like a boardwalk connecting them, or is it like a long, vast expanse of land?
Those like little islands that are hair.
Yeah, how close are those in proximity?
Not very close. They're, I'd say kind of more like the English Channel type of space between them. So, yeah, like about 20 miles, I'd say.
Ah, English Channel.
Yeah, I think. So, yeah. That may be subject to change as I figure out the geography. Yeah, so none of this is quite set in stone yet.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think one of those islands will probably hold a very big prison complex that holds all of the Empire's enemies and old former pirates that used to terrorize the Empire. And
you could almost have a whole spin-off story just about the prison.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when I originally started making this universe, it wasn't like a steampunk Western, it was more of a steampunk pirate epic with, sky pirates.
Sky pirate? Are there still going to be sky pirates?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's kind of a one half of the story is because the Empire here is the biggest landmass, but dotted around the entire planet are tons of small little islands, each with their own very unique races that are very differently evolved from the rest of humanity. So they are kind of like oppressed second-class citizens, sometimes considered slaves in certain countries like Baran and places like that. Yeah, Baran does a lot of like military organizations. They supply a lot of troops and capture slaves and make them fight in gladiator arenas.
Jeez. Hence the reddish tint of Baran.
Yeah.
On this. I see.
Yeah.
How about Reeves then? That looks even redder.
Reeves. That would be demonology magic.
Oh.
So, yeah, like devil worshipping, kind of two-sided. Yeah. Reeves looks very nice on the surface, but there are underground cities that are just filled with tons of criminal underbelly type
There's a lot going behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like a seedy underbelly is kind of what you're thinking.
Yeah,
cool.
Right. Yeah. And so
Fidel, I guess.
Fidel
must be.
That was necromancy.
It looks like yeah.
It's sort of very rainy, Victorian London type area. Yeah, but a lot of necromantic magic is studied there.
It gives you a lot of cool different areas to work with.
Yeah, and Daxam, I believe, is sorcery. Wynir, I think Wynir is kind of an interesting country because it's sort of like a time capsule Game of Thrones-y type thing where it's undergone so much political upheaval that everything is like from the Dark Ages. People still live in thatch huts and stuff, and it's mostly wooded areas and dangerous forests where all sorts of monsters and things live. And, of course, a lot of monsters hide in that forest because they're hunted down because Yeshid, which enslaves them, is right underneath it. So a lot of monsters and magical creatures try to escape either to Wynir or Cletir, to either side of it. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
I like this world. I also
Mm.
like the many possibilities there are. I'm especially excited to see Fidel and to see kind of how Baran works, because it seems to me like it'd almost be kind of like a Roman.
Yeah, it is based on Roman culture. Yeah, basically Roman.
I love it.
Yeah. And what else should I get into? Janikin is sort of sorcery involved. A lot of
What else? What else do you want to touch on before we wrap up?
not much else unless you, have anything to talk about.
Oh, well, what were you about to go into?
Not much. I don't think.
So by steampunk, is it gonna have mostly things that is it gonna be things that are conceivable, or is it gonna be outlandish sometimes with the steampunky?
Yeah, sometimes more outlandish than others. I have like a picture of sort of house train thing. I drew this back during Inktober last year.
Oh yeah, I remember. This is a cool idea.
Yeah, so sort of that's like a house train I think would go for a scene in the Holvad adventure.
It almost looks like something out of a Miyazaki, Castle on the Hill or Castle in the Sky kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
Like something that's wacky and crazy, but still something easy to think of. Like not easy to think of, but it's like an idea someone could come up with, but not know how to make it that believable. Like it's a real place. But I think you can pull it off.
Yeah, right. And a lot of stuff like that would be in this.
I love the idea.
Yeah, I have a picture of what was the name of the country? Actually, Fidel.
I love the idea of a city on rails. It's really cool.
And so Fidel, this would be sort of just like a port city. It's kind of built over the water on stilts. So
on stilts.
Yeah, so that a ton of rain just kind of pours past the houses into gutters and down through the layers of the city. So it's just always rain. Yeah. Or no, like Fidel, the necromancy country. So
I like that it's raining.
Yeah, because it's always raining.
Interesting.
There. Yeah, kind of a British type of inspired place. Yeah.
Really cool. It allows you to get it's like Pokemon. It allows you to get a lot of cool different looking areas crammed into one close together space.
Yeah, right.
Can you imagine then that these people are going to have cultural differences that are very similar to their cultures in real life? So someone who lives in this area in Fidel might look at or I'm sorry, this is Fidel?
Yeah, Fidel.
Someone in Fidel might look at people in Baran and be like, that's inhumane and kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, they do kind of have political squabbles like that every now and again. And there is kind of a Game of Thrones-y aspect because the emperor is the most powerful one there, so every king and queen of each country is trying to politically position themselves closer to the king through sometimes assassinations, but mostly just marrying their kids off to the emperor's children and stuff like that. And
that's weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of social drama that goes on in the magical school there.
And it seems like it can a lot of times reflect things that happen in real life.
Yeah, in different cultures there.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And especially in the countries of Holvad and Paran, I have an entire idea set for those. The West Arm, where they were once one country, but they kind of split into two. And
a lot of people, when they think of creating a series of comics or a graphic novel, They want to go straight into the story. But it is very important to develop the world and the universe first, especially because I think the biggest character of any series is the world. The world that everyone inhabits. It's almost like the world is a character. And the best comics I've read treat the world as a character.
Yeah, because I'm a big fan of One Piece myself, and I really love the world building in that series.
It's
and
one
so
of
that does help inspire a lot of this too. So.
That's cool. I've never seen.
Yeah, it's basically a lighthearted, adventurous pirate anime.
Like it's almost like it was inspired by Treasure Island kind of thing, but wacky anime.
Yeah,
madness.
Yeah, and like superpowers and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
On that note, I think this has been a good session.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think we've rambled on long enough. I've certainly gone into a lot of detail here.
There's a lot of stuff to explore when you're creating a
world. And,
yeah.
And so like it's interesting to hear the perspective of someone who thinks about this on a daily basis because you make comics.
Yeah, I do think about this a lot. Yeah.
And it's very cool because as someone who wants to create comics but hasn't done that before, I've made a couple, but not like a series yet. And I'm working towards hopefully making a graphic novel in the future. I just it's just cool to see how someone would do that as their normal, everyday thing.
Yeah.
Because I have a daily drawing. I've been drawing one thing a day, whether it's just a star on a notepad or a full scale, like drawing that I kind of dive into, or even just a little segment. If I draw one thing every day, that's like a practice that I wouldn't be getting otherwise. But you draw like a comic about once a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, about a drawing a day.
Oh, a drawing a day?
Yeah, maybe. Like, yeah. It's hard to quantify it.
It really is.
Yeah. It's kind of slow going, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us here on the CC podcast. Yeah, and I hope you didn't get too bored from us just ranting on and on.
I wouldn't worry too much about that. The internet was created for people to nerd out about things.
Yeah, I'll try and cut out our awkward pauses as best I can.
That's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what even the best podcasters can do sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Literally, sometimes you just need to cut out the moments like this where there's ums and legit like you got yourself. See, I'm doing it right now. I think it's
that's the thing. You think about it and you do it more.
Right. It's kind of like when someone like you're trying to convince someone that you don't do, like someone points out a mannerism that you do, like how I say the thing is, and then after finding out that I say that a lot, trying not to say it is impossible.
And I say the word like a lot too much. So I say things like, well, like I'm like, like, and I end up doing it more when I think about it.
That's also a thing that people need to watch out for. But it's not as bad as when I used to be really bad at replacing the word with fucking. So I'd be like, I was at the fucking bowling alley, and there was this fucking girl at the counter who gave me the shoes, and she fucking gave me a size 9 instead of a 10. Yeah, but anyway, thank you. I appreciate it. And da-da-da.
Yep.
That's your cue to cut.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
a cut.
Yeah. All right. Cut.